This is Atlantic Television Network. Welcome to Global News. First, the highlight. River State government cancels Secretariat contract and demands 20 billion naira refund. Senate confirms Amupitan as INEC chairman. Court adjourns DSS suit against Serap to November 12. Naiti tackles multiple taxation in solid minerals sector. Pope decries global hunger crisis. Lookman to join Osimhen at Galatasaray. Court sets November 26 for rapper Odumodu Black's trial. River State Executive Council has cancelled the 134 billion naira contract awarded by the former sole administrator of the state, Vice Admiral Ikot Ete Ibas, retired, for the reconstruction of the state secretariat complex in Port Harcourt. The contract awarded to the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation during the period of emergency rule on the Ibas was nullified by the council at its meeting on Thursday after the council directed the construction company to refund the 20 billion naira mobilization fee already paid for the project. Also, the council approved the constitution of a 6-member committee chaired by Deputy Governor Professor Ngozi Oju to assess and recommend suitable locations for the construction of computer-based test centers across the state to support external examinations, and further mandated the state's flood control committee headed by Odu to take urgent measures to mitigate flooding in affected areas and cautioned residents to stop blocking drainage channels. River State Police Command has arrested an armed robbery syndicate incident at Choba area of Port Harcourt involving the snatching of a Toyota Avalon car at gunpoint. A statement by the police PPRO, SP Grace Irene Coco, said through intelligence-led policing and technical support operatives of the command, has successfully apprehended one of the suspects, identified as Iru Young, at his hideout in Ikoku, Port Harcourt. During interrogation, the suspect voluntarily confessed to the crime, providing detailed information about his involvement in the robbery incident, and the suspect is currently in police custody. An in-depth investigation has been launched to apprehend the other fleeing suspect to recover the stolen vehicle and retrieve the firearms used in the commission of the crime. The Commissioner of Police, River State, CP Olubenga A. Adepoju, has commended the operatives involved in the operation for their diligence and swift response, which led to the suspect's arrest, and also expressed gratitude to the public for their support and cooperation in sharing credible information that facilitated the arrest. The Commissioner has warned that the state will not provide a hiding place for criminals, and further indicated the command's commitment to ensuring the safety and security of lives and property in the state. Bayelsa State High Court has sentenced the 29-year-old woman, Miriam Omokeri, who hails from neighboring Delta State, to 7 years imprisonment for human trafficking, and will also pay a fine of 1 million naira for trafficking, exporting, and promoting prostitution of young girls. The Bayelsa High Court 3 gave the judgment on charges brought by the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons and other related offenses. The convict was arraigned before the court sometime in January 30 for organizing and trafficking 4 girls from Bayelsa State to Mali and Senegal for prostitution, and the court ruled that the offenses contravene the provisions of sections 13, paragraph 1 to B, 13, paragraph 4, A, C, 14, paragraph B, and 18 of the Trafficking in Persons Prohibition Enforcement and Administration Act 2015, I beg your pardon. While delivering judgment, Justice Doris Adokeme held that from the totality of the evidence by the prosecution, she was satisfied that the prosecution has successfully proved its case against all defendants, adding that the offense of trafficking in persons is a very serious offense that has negatively affected the image of the country internationally. Reacting to the judgments, the acting commander, NAPTIP Bayelsa State Command, Mr. Fadewara Timiboy, represented by Charles Emomotimi, said the development will send a signal that Bayelsa is not a safe haven for human trafficking activities and equally encourage parents and guardians to report all forms of human trafficking in NAPTIP Bayelsa Command or other security agencies. Edo State Governor Senator Monday Okpebholo has ordered the reintroduction of Edo languages into the school curriculum across the state. A statement on Thursday by the governor's chief press secretary, Fred Okpebholo reaffirmed his administration's commitment to preserving the state's rich cultural heritage and promoting indigenous knowledge. The governor disclosed this during a courtesy visit by the leadership of the Esan Okpa Initiative to Government House, Benin City, and led by its president, Matthew Egbadon. The delegation, comprising technocrats, business leaders, and community stakeholders, commended Okpebholo for the remarkable progress recorded in less than 1 year of his administration. The governor reiterated his determination to revive Ambrose Ali University, describing its restoration as a victory for the people, with substantial progress already underway to return the institution to its former glory. While highlighting key interventions, Okpebholo said his administration had embarked on extensive road rehabilitation and new construction projects across the state, while over 50 compressed natural gas buses had been ordered to enhance public transportation across the 3 senatorial districts. And the health sector, he said 65 primary health care centers had been completed or rehabilitated, while reinforcing his administration's drive to deliver accessible quality health care to every community. On infrastructure, he cited ongoing work on the Ekpoma-Oromi-Obiaja Road, adding that compensation is already being paid to affected property owners, and his administration is working to improve safety across the state. Cross River State House of Assembly has deliberated on the move to ban housing agents in Calabar and other parts of the state for their alleged role in arbitrarily inflating rent prices and worsening the cost of living for residents. The lawmakers reached a resolution during plenary on Tuesday following a motion raised by the member representing Abi State constituency, Davis Etta, on the matters of urgent public importance and expressed concern over what he described as unreasonable, unprovoked, and economically destabilizing. Rent increases across Calabar and its environs, blaming landlords and property agents for exploiting tenants amid the current economic hardship. According to him, many residents have cried out as landlords, often acting on the advice of housing agents, now charge exorbitant rents even on old and dilapidated buildings, and decry the growing impunity among landlords who issue instant eviction notice to tenants who are unable to meet new demands that further compounds the economic hardship of civil servants, students, and small business owners. Davis Etta warned that the unregulated rent escalation is heartless, economically destabilizing, and socially dangerous, stressing that housing is a basic human necessity, not a luxury, and urged the House to urgently legislate a regulatory framework for property, rental, and leasing, balance the rights of landlords with tenants' dignity, and compel the Ministry of Housing to monitor and control rent-related practices. He also called for a reduction in the cost of locally produced building materials to ease housing challenges. In his remarks, Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Elvart Ayambem, commended the motion and described it as timely and people-centered. That is reaffirming the commitment of the 13th Assembly to enacting laws that have direct impact on the lives of citizens and ensuring a level playing field between landlords and tenants. African Democratic Congress (ADC) Imo State chapter says it has uncovered a plot by individuals allegedly sponsored by external forces engaging in unauthorized activities aimed at distracting and destabilizing the party. The party condemned the activities in the strongest terms and warned that any gathering, meeting, or assembly without official approval is unauthorized, illegal, and unacceptable. A statement issued on Thursday by the ADC Imo State Publicity Secretary, Chief MacDonald Amadi, said members involved in such activities will face disciplinary action, including sanctions such as provided in the statement. Also urged all members of ADC to remain steadfast, disciplined, and united in pursuit of their collective goals. Lagos State Government has faulted the National Assembly over the proposed Central Gaming Bill, warning that its passage would violate the Nigerian Constitution and a subsisting Supreme Court judgment. Addressing the press conference in Lagos, the Lagos Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Lawal Pedro, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, declared the move by the National Assembly as a voyage of constitutionality. The bill seeks to establish a comprehensive regulatory framework for online and remote gaming aimed at replacing the previously repealed National Lottery Act of 2005, and also seeks to regulate the operation and business of online gaming across all states in Nigeria, including a specific provision for activities in the Federal Capital Territory. A 7-member panel of the court in a unanimous judgment held that the National Lottery Act 2005 should no longer be enforced in all states except the FCT, in respect of which the National Assembly was empowered to make laws, adding that the legislature cannot directly overturn specific court's judgment, though it is considered it can indirectly nullify its effect, but only by changing the underlying law on which the judgment was based to remove the foundation of the judgment. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike, has commended residents of Abuja for partnering with government to ensure government policies and programs impact on the people, rather than resort to social media criticism for political gain. Speaking during the commissioning of the reconstructed Ken Udezwe Street on Thursday, the 16th of October, 2025 in Abuja, Wike said governance thrives when citizens draw attention to public needs rather than attacking government's actions online.
But it's the responsibility of good citizens to call the attention of government that this area you may not have looked at. And every responsible government will, of course, be happy with such a citizen. That is what we require. This is what we want. And the government will immediately respond to such attention. I was in my office when one of my friends, luckily is seated here today, he called my attention. He said, Minister, I was driving one of these roads. I don't think you are aware. It's terribly bad. I said, which road is that? He said, Ken or this or Ken, I don't know what they call it. I said, okay. Thank you. I called the Executive Secretary of FCD. Where is this Ken Udeze or Ken Udemna? I don't know what they call it. Go and check and see the situation of the road or the roads there. And he came back to me. He said, sir, the road is bad. And I said, okay, look for any contractor that has the capacity to move in and see that we solve that problem. A friend called me. He said, thank you. This is what they call a responsive government. Thank you that I called you and you immediately responded. He does not have an office there. He does not live there. But because he has to use this road, and he had to call my attention.
Wiki commending the Federal Capital Development Authority team through the Acting Executive Secretary, Engineer Richard Dowder, for their dedication to protect monitoring, ensuring timely delivery of projects, describing them as a reliable partner in the ongoing transformation of the FCT under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda.
Let me thank the Executive Secretary, let me thank the FCDA through the Executive Secretary for their commitment. Like I've said, it is not easy working with me. I tell people it is not easy. It's not like let's go and have a glass of wine. No. You must work and show that you want to work. So anybody who succeeds, anybody who has shown that he has capacity working with me, then you know that the person can go anywhere and succeed, because it is not easy. I will not allow you to sleep. I will make sure that you do what you're supposed to do. So FCDA through the years, we want to thank you, we want to commend you.
On his part, the Executive Secretary of FCDA, Engineer Richard Dowder, said roads commissioning will enhance business activities and increase investors' participation.
Excellency, Mabushi district is one of the phase 2 districts of the city that is yet to be provided with engineering infrastructure. And so as a phased development of the district, the FCT administration embarked upon the development of Estabali and Kesudeze streets. The Estabali street is an important local street, ILS 11, and it starts from this special important local street, SILS 01 Zakari Kiari Street. That's the road that goes into Katampe from Mabushi. It starts from there and continues to connect Amado Bello Way again at its other end. Other roads on the project include the minor access road MA 24, that's Kesudeze Street, as well as the minor access road MA 25, all within Mabushi district. Excellency, the contract for the provision of access roads to Estabali and Kesudeze streets in Mabushi was awarded to Messrs. Lubric Construction Company Limited in May 2025 with a completion period of 6 months. The contractor immediately mobilized to site and has practically completed the project. Excellency, the scope of works executed under this project includes earthworks, surface water drainage system, asphalt paved roads with walkways, culverts, box and pipe culverts, power sewer networks, water supply pipe network, and street lighting, solar street lighting. Excellency, the development of the roads will not only provide good access and municipal services, but it will also improve security in this area and reduce travel time of the residents. The completion of the roads will further enhance rapid development of Mabushi district, leading to improved quality of life and well-being.
Katsina State Governor Malam Diko Orada has denied his administration's decision to negotiate with bandits, stressing that the state seeks only genuine and sustainable peace. He made the declaration during the inauguration of 100 new officers of the Community Watch Corps, which will extend the security outfit's operations to 20 of the state's 34 local government areas. Speaking at the passing out ceremony of the third batch of Sea Watch officers in Katsina, Rather reflected on his administration's steady progress toward restoring lasting peace across the state, adding that there had been reports of a supposed peace meeting between bandits and government officials in the state. But the governor dismissed the claims as false. He reaffirmed his administration's determination to decisively end banditry in Katsina State, describing what he called the Katsina model as a fully community-driven approach. He said the model allows members of the affected communities to initiate and negotiate peace pacts with repentant bandits who agree to lay down their arms. Rather also highlighted the successes recorded through the Community Peace Accord initiative, which GBA had enjoyed for 8 months without a major attack, while Batsari had recorded 7 months of uninterrupted peace, adding that the Community Watch Corps was established to combat banditry and entrench lasting peace in the state. Bauchi State Police Command has arrested 6 suspected kidnappers and rescued 3 men who were abducted in Toro local government area of the state. A statement issued by the command spokesperson, CSP Ahmed Mohammed Wakil, the police received a distress call on September 29, 2025 from a community member in Ilgwa village who reported that unidentified gunmen had kidnapped 3 residents and the victims were identified as Idi Umar, Idi Lawan, Idi Musa Lawal. The statement revealed the combined team from the Toro Area Command, Toro Division, and Nabodo Division, working with local security groups, launched a coordinated rescue operation that the team tracked the suspects to the outskirts of the village and engaged them in the professional operation that led to the safe and unharmed rescue of the victims. 6 suspects were arrested during the operation, including Abubakar Usman, Adamu Alo Abubakar, Aliyu Umar Habu, Abubakar Maman Abubakar, and Shehu Sambo. And the rescued victims have since been reunited with their families in good health, while investigations are ongoing to determine the motive behind the abduction. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police, CP Sani Omolori Aliyu, has commended the swift response of the operatives and reaffirmed the command's commitment to protecting lives and property. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We will be back after this break. Please stay with us.
to host the 14th Biennial Conference and Exhibition of African Broadcasters, Africast 2025 in Lagos, Nigeria. Participants will experience a week of world-class expositions showcasing the very best in creativity, innovation, and cutting-edge broadcasting technological advancement and trends in the global broadcast media ecosystem. Theme: Navigating the Digital Surge, Building a Resilient Africa Media Ecosystem for the Future. Date: Monday, October 20th to Friday, October 24th, 2025. Venue: Balmoral Convention Center, Sheraton, Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria. Time: 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Visit www.africastexpo.com or email info@nbc.gov.ng. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting. Announcer, Management.
Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. Senate has confirmed Professor Joash Amupitan as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, directing the Amupitan after the votes conducted by Senate President Godswill Akpabio and after undergoing screening and personal questions posed by the donors. This is coming after Amupitan had earlier arrived at the National Assembly complex, where he exchanged pleasantries with senators and was accompanied to the chamber by the governor of Kogi and other dignitaries. During the screening exercise, when asked on how to ensure participation of voters during elections in areas affected by insecurity, he said under his leadership, the commission may introduce the use of drones to reach remote areas.
Does not really have the capacity presently. You investigate, you detect, investigate, and then prosecute. And strengthening the internal disciplinary procedure, following due process, to ensure that those that are involved in such misconduct are brought to book. Even if we need to use forensic to do that. And we also hope to probably see, well, I have not gotten there, but we have factored it as part of the likely challenges we are going to confront. We can introduce a whistleblowing policy too that will enable people to detect and expose such practices so that it can be dealt with.
After the question and answer session, the nominee was unanimously given the privilege to head the commission. In his remark, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, charged the new INEC boss to make sure every vote counts during his tenure, adding that the National Assembly will support the new INEC leadership to ensure transparency in elections across the country.
Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Professor Joash Ojo Amupitan, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for appointment as the Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Professor Joash Ojo Amupitan, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, is hereby confirmed as the Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission. So let me thank distinguished senators for the painstaking manner in which they handled this as Committee of the Whole because of the need for speed. And to say that this was very orderly and well done, and I believe strongly that your questions and your comportment met the aspirations of all Nigerians. I also want to congratulate the President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for presenting a nominee that had no single dissenting voice and has been unanimously approved and unanimously confirmed by all and sundry in the Federal Republic of Nigeria through their representatives. I wish Professor Amopitan well and pray that his services will improve the electoral process, lead to more transparency, and ensure that every vote counts, and that the winners are truly the ones that are announced. All hands must be on deck for Nigeria to have a better image in all electoral processes. We all have our roles to play. And many of us have been victims of electoral malpractices in the past. That is why we were able to ask the right questions. And we hope that he has a lot of takeaways to assist him in the work that he will do.
Professor Mupitan is expected to leverage his legal and academic background in electoral law to push for reforms that will insulate INEC from political interference and improve the electoral process through digitization and transparency. Senate has suspended further consideration of a bill seeking to repeal the Electoral Act 2022 and enact a new Electoral Act 2025, following concerns that lawmakers needed more time for wider consultations and a deeper understanding of its provisions. The decision came after the Senate leader, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, APC, Ekiti, moved a motion to stand down deliberations, which was seconded by Minority Leader, Senator Abba Moro, PDP Benue, and the motion was adopted at plenary. Bamidele said it was not an auspicious time for the upper chamber to proceed into an executive session on such a far-reaching bill and stressed the need for further consultations on the bill before proceeding, adding that senators must first grasp the general principles and details before taking a position. The bill, presented earlier by the chairman of the Senate Committee on INEC, Senator Simon Lalong, ABC Plateau, seeks to overhaul Nigeria's electoral system through what he described as a comprehensive reform, repeal and enactment, and not a mere amendment, and also acknowledged that while the 2022 Electoral Act produced some landmark results and innovations, it also exposed deep flaws in the nation's electoral process. These, he said, included critical gaps, delayed in the release of election fund, disputes over voter registration, conflicting interpretations of result transmission, as well as widespread litigations from party primaries and weak enforcement of electoral offenses. He told lawmakers that Nigerians expect not mere corrections, but a holistic law that would restore faith in the country's election and also strengthen INEC's independence, ensure transparency, and introduce digital reforms such as continuous voter registration, electronic transmission of results, and digital register with QR codes. House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the state of the $35 million Modular Petroleum Refinery in Brass, Bayelsa State. The resolution of the House followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance moved by Honorable Billy Osawaru, an Edo lawmaker, at Wednesday's plenary session, titled Motion of Urgent Public Importance on the need to investigate the abandoned $35 million modular refinery project in Brass, Bayelsa State. 4 years after a huge financial commitment to that effect, the project, a 2,000 barrel per day project, is being handled by the Atlantic International Refinery and Petrochemical Limited in collaboration with the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board. And the modular refinery is intended to boost the nation's crude oil production as well as enhance local refineries, encourage indigenous participation in content development, and create jobs in the petroleum industry. Although construction was expected to commence in 2021, there are reports that the project has become the subject of investigation by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for alleged fraudulent practices in 2020. The NCDMB invested $35 million in the project, but according to Osawaru, despite the huge investment, which is more than 50 billion naira, and enough to fund fundamental components of the national budget, the proposed modular refinery that was to be known as Atlantic International Refinery and Petrochemical Limited was never set up. While drawing attention to the substance of the motion, Osawaru, who represents the Oreo 1 Ohum Ward Federal Constituency, Edo State, recalled that the House had initiated a patriotic move to unravel the mystery behind the wastage by mandating the relevant committee to investigate this monumental economic sabotage, adding that in May 2024, a stakeholder submitted a petition to the EFCC urging the anti-graft organization to probe the multi-million-dollar investment made by the NCDMB, among which was the Atlantic Refinery project. The motion, when put to a voice vote by the Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, who presided over Wednesday's plenary, was overwhelmingly supported by the lawmakers, and consequently, the House referred the motion to its committees on petroleum resources, downstream and midstream, for further legislative action. Speaker, House of Representatives Abbas Tajuddin says establishment of African Aviation and Aerospace University would not only equip Nigerians with advanced skills, but reduce dependence on foreign training. Tajuddin, represented by the majority leader Julius Ihonvere, said this while declaring open a public hearing by the House Committee on Aviation Technology in Abuja. The speaker described the initiative as a major step toward transforming Nigeria's aviation landscape and also equip Nigerians with research skills that support safety and innovation. Speaking, the Chairman House Committee on Aviation Technology, Rep. Tajuddin Abisodu, said the bill represents a historic opportunity for Nigeria to lead the continent in aviation education, technology and research, stressing that the university's governance structure provides for integrity, accountability and autonomy to meet global standards. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, also said the university would address persistent manpower shortage, bedeviling the country, and Keyamo, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Ibrahim Abubakar, also said the proposal is in alignment with the country's long-term agenda to make Nigeria a global aviation training hub. Chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Dr. Musa Aliyu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, says corruption in Nigeria goes far beyond stealing public funds, describing it as any deviation from the rule or due process. Aliyu made this remark in Abuja on Thursday while presenting a paper titled Understanding Anti-Corruption Laws and the Implications for Local Government Officials at the 2025 National Summit of the Association of Chairmen of Local Government Services Commissions in Nigeria. The summit, themed Strengthening Local Government Administration in Nigeria, drew participants from across the country, including government administrators, policymakers, and anti-corruption experts, and to discuss reforms aimed at improving transparency and governance at the grassroots level. Represented by his Special Assistant on Legal Matters, Zainab Nas, the ICPC chairman stressed that corruption permeates every facet of society, from schools to markets and private institutions, and not just the public sector, and further urged Nigerians to uphold integrity, transparency, and adherence to the rule of law in all spheres of life, stressing that meaningful development can only occur when both citizens and institutions act responsibly and lawfully. Reflecting on Nigeria's historical fight against corruption, Aliyu recalled earlier government campaigns such as the Ethical Revolution, the war against indiscipline and corruption, and the mass mobilizations for self-reliance, social justice and economic recovery, MAMSA, which he said failed due to lack of institutional continuity and legal backing, adding that the establishment of the ICPC in 2000 marked a decisive shift in the nation's anti-corruption drive, providing the first comprehensive legal framework to investigate, prevent, and prosecute corruption cases. High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Maitama, has adjourned hearing in a 5.5 billion naira defamation suit filed against the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project by two operatives of the Department of State Services to November 12, 2025. Justice Halilu Yusuf adjourned the case following the absence of Serap's counsel, Chief Ebon Olu Adegboruwa, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, who wrote to the court requesting a new date due to a conflicting engagement at the Court of Appeal in Lagos. The suit was instituted by Sarah John and Gabriel Ogunleye, both DSS operatives, who alleged that Serap made false and damaging claims against them in media publications, accusing them of unlawfully invading an office, adding that the publications tarnished their image and subjected them to public ridicule. The claimants are seeking 5.5 billion naira as damages for defamation and are also asking the court for a perpetual injunction restraining Serap from making further defamatory statements against them, adding that although all counsel had earlier agreed on November 24 as a convenient date for the matter, his chambers were not served with the subsequent hearing notice fixing the case for October 16, stressing that he had scheduled appearances before the Court of Appeal and other superior court on that date. Counsel to the claimants, Akinlolu Kehinde, SAN, acknowledged receipt of Adegboruwa's letter and did not oppose the application for an adjournment, while Justice Halilu subsequently granted the request and fixed November 12, 2025 for continuation of the hearing, during which Serap is expected to open its defense. Nigerian Medical Association has told the Federal High Court in Abuja that the illness of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, is not life-threatening. The medical panel set up by the NMA president said it had concluded the health assessment ordered by the court on the IPOB leader and found that Kanu is fit to stand trial. This is coming after about 2 weeks ago, the trial judge, Justice James Omotosho, directed the association to independently assess Kanu's health status following conflicting medical reports presented by the defense and the prosecution, while Kanu is currently being prosecuted by the federal government on charges relating to alleged terrorism. According to the panel's report, which was submitted to the court on October 13 by the prosecution team led by Chief Adeboyega Awomolo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and partly read in open court during Thursday's proceedings, the medical body said the defendant's ailment does not pose any immediate danger to his life and confirmed that he is fit to stand trial, and while relying on the medical findings and in the absence of any objection from counsel to the parties, Justice Omotosho ruled that the court was satisfied that the defendant could proceed with his trial. The judge consequently granted Kanu 6 consecutive days, beginning from October 23rd, to open and close his defense, while Justice Omotosho granted an oral application by Kanu's lead counsel, Chief Kanu Agabi, SAN, seeking permission for a private consultation between the defendant and his legal team outside the Department of State Services premises. Agabi had argued that the defense team feared their discussions with Kanu might be monitored or recorded by the DSS, and the court therefore approved that the private meeting be held within the courtroom with only Kanu and his lawyers present, while the consultation is scheduled to take place between 9 a.m. and 12 noon on 22nd October, ahead of the resumption of the trial on October 23rd. Federal High Court Abuja has ordered the Department of State Services, DSS, to provide medical facility for Nnamdi Kanu's medical care. This is coming after the court told the detained leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, IPOB, that he has until 30th October to close his defense. One of the Kanu's lawyers, Aloy Ejimako, who disclosed on X, said the judge held that the Department of State Services, DSS, medical facility is adequate for his medical care. The court adjourned the ongoing Kanu's trial to 23rd October 2025 for commencement of his defense. Apex Igbo Social Cultural Organization, Ohaneze Ndigbo, Southeast governors. Ministers from the region have disassociated from the October 20th, 2025 planned nationwide protest for the unconditional release of indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Ohanaeze Ndigbo, in conjunction with the Southeast governors and Igbo ministers, said it has a grave sense of responsibility and a profound commitment to the well-being of the zone and the stability of the country, and condemned the planned Sowore Atiku orchestrated protest focused on the release of Nnamdi Kanu. A statement issued on Thursday by the factional deputy president, General Mazi Okechukwu Isiguzuru, and Chief Chinyereze National Thompson Ohia National viewed the purported demonstration with extreme suspicion and firmly believe it to be a thinly veiled attempt at fomenting unrest, as well as destabilizing the government of President Bola Tinubu and exploiting the legitimate concerns of Ndigbo for nefarious political ends. It also said the scheme, allegedly funded by elements associated with Atiku Abubakar and his cohorts, seeks to exploit the genuine desire for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's release and draw unsuspecting Igbo citizens into a dangerous and destructive venture. The statement further expressed deep concern about the planned protests and riots that will endanger the lives and property of Nigerians, stressing that such a tragic scenario was witnessed during the NSAS riots, including the potential widespread of violence, looting, and the destruction of critical infrastructure. National Association of Nigerian Students has distanced itself from a planned protest being organized by activist Omoyele Sowore and his associates, while warning Nigerian students nationwide not to be deceived or used by selfish and politically motivated individuals. Its president, Olushola Oladoja, who addressed journalists at the Federal Cooperative College in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, described the reports linking the association to the proposed Free Nnamdi Kanu protest scheduled for October 20th as false, misleading, and mischievous. Oladoja, who spoke alongside zonal and campus leaders of the students' body, said the national leadership convened a press briefing to set the record straight and protect the integrity of NANS from being dragged into political controversies, adding that part of any protest organized or influenced by Sowore or any other politically motivated group or individual is false, mischievous, and designed to drag the name of our noble association into political controversies that do not align with the mandate as a student's body. He said the association remains committed to defending the rights and welfare of Nigerian students and would not allow its platform to be hijacked by politicians or activists pursuing personal agendas, and further accused Sowore and his allies of using NAN's name to gain credibility for their politically driven agenda, stressing that the students' body would remain focused on education, youth development, peace, and national unity, not partisan politics. The NAN's president therefore appealed to parents and guardians across Nigeria to warn their children and wards against joining any protest sponsored by greedy and self-serving politicians, and also reiterated that there is no faction with NANS. Also urged the federal government to address the ongoing face-off between the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the federal government, with the 2-week warning strike period to avert future occurrences. Nigerian military troops of Operation Delta State have successfully fought oil theft and other criminal activities valued at over 98,705,495 naira in the Niger Delta region. Speaking to journalists in Abuja, the director of Defense Media Operations, Major Marcos Kange, said troops recovered 92,500 liters of stolen crude oil, 1,575 liters of automotive gas oil, 660 liters of dual-purpose kerosene, and 5,000 liters of premium motor spirits, PMS, among others. Kanye said 13 suspects were apprehended, while assaulted arms and ammunitions were recovered between 9th and 12th October 2025. Additional offensive operations were conducted across Delta and Rivers State, leading to the arrest of 9 more criminals and the recovery of weapons, ammunitions, and a vehicle.
Gross welfare theft was over 98,705,495 naira only. The breakdown indicates 92,500 liters of solid crude oil, 1,575 liters of HO, 660 liters of DPT, and 5,000 liters of PMS. Additionally, they discovered and destroyed 11 crude oil cooking ovens, 7 dug pits, 9 boats, 14 storage tanks, and 7 illegally refining sites. Rules of Operation Udoka. So between 8th to 13th October, they conducted offensive operations and arrested a suspected IPOB PSA terrorist commander identified as Gentle, who was on troops wanted list along 8 other criminals in Owerri West and Maitoli local government areas of Imo State.
Meanwhile, in the southeast, troops of Operation Udoka have expressed an aggressive posture against criminal elements in its operations in Owerri West and Mbai-Toli local government areas of Imo State, as well as Ebonyi State, where troops arrested a wanted IPOB ESN commander identified as Gentle alongside 8 other suspects. Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency says its latest monitoring shows high water levels along parts of the River Niger and River Benue, with the possibility of flooding in Kogi, Anambra, and Delta states, including Benue, Adamawa, Niger, and Bayelsa states. The agency said the recent assessment of water quality during flood evaluation exercises revealed contamination in some shallow wells caused by flood water intrusion. The Director General and Chief Executive Officer Omar Mohammed, who disclosed this at a press briefing in Abuja on Thursday, said hydrological monitoring shows high water levels along parts of the Niger and Benue rivers, with the possibility of localized flooding in Kogi, Anambra, and Delta states, and also advised residents in flood-prone areas to remain vigilant and follow official advisories. The agency also called for stronger collaboration among relevant ministries, humanitarian partners, and local authorities to ensure the provision of safe drinking water to affected communities, and further underscores ongoing concerns about the country's flood preparedness and resilience amid climate change, adding that the alert serves as both a precaution and a call for coordinated action among federal, state, and local authorities to mitigate the anticipated impacts. Mohammed said the agency is developing a 5-year strategic action plan to guide its operations focused on innovation, regional empowerment, and stronger stakeholder engagement, as well as also strengthening its zonal and field offices to bring services closer to the people and promote innovation, accountability, and measurable results, to adopting a proactive data-driven approach aimed at saving lives, protecting infrastructure, and strengthening Nigeria's resilience to the impact of climate change. Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria has declared plans to hold a posthumous Thanksgiving service in honor of Pa Umar Okpai during his 40th anniversary celebrations, scheduled to begin on October 19, 2025. This is coming after Okpai died on October 6, 2025 at the age of 80, and he is known as one of the founding figures of the PFN. Speaking at a press conference in Uyo, the PFN National President Bishop Francis Wale said the celebration would take place simultaneously across the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, and represented by the National Secretary, Bishop David Bakare. He said the late minister had been chosen as the sole preacher for the anniversary before his passing. Bakare further said the PFN leadership had visited Okpai's widow to commiserate and pray with the family. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Rivers State government cancels secretariat contract and demands 20 billion naira refund. Senate confirms Amupitan as INEC chairman. Court adjourns DSS suit against Serap to November 12. Naiti tackles multiple taxation in solid mineral sector. Pope decries global hunger crisis. Lukman to join Osimhen at Galatasaray. Court sets November 26 for rapper Odumodu Black's trial. I am Francis Neka. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms, on Twitter now X at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. Remember, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching.